are you provoked yourself?
When am I provoked myself? Oh, being called a Nazi I find somewhat provoking. That, I think, one of the most absurd days. No, certainly not. One of the most absurd days in my life in the last 2 years, and there's been plenty of them, was a day probably 3 months ago where I was accused by one magazine in the UK of being a Jewish shill and another magazine in the United States of being an alt-right Nazi. I thought, well, that's it. I pretty much covered both ends of the insult spectrum.
Balance.
It's like, yeah, that's right. So you can average that out to 0, I suppose. So I find that somewhat provoking. But you know, you take the good with the bad, and I'm not complaining about it. But it is provoking.